Hello and welcome. Oh, am I not muted here? Hi. Oh, there we go. Okay. For some reason, I'm hearing myself. Actually, I think it's a physical echo in the room. All right, that's fine. All right, cool. So, yesterday we worked on this one. We're going to make another one here. Hi, I'm David LaMorte. We're going to be making some money today. I really need to add some more links to this. I guess I'll try and fix that later on. Having some trouble with my Instagram as well, but that's fine. All right, that's not working. All right, so I'm gonna just take a quick picture for the gram. So today we're gonna be paying one of these dollar bills. Urube. That would be what I really should be on Urube. Again, Urube. My thumbs are not built for these iPhones, I swear. All right, so, oh, my light is not actually. Is this lighting better without the light? No, there is no way. Oh yeah, it's almost like the light makes it worse. No, actually, that's pretty good. All right. Saying hi to my fans. Feel free to leave a comment in the what do you call it? In the chat. Helps with the algorithm. Forgot to get my water. All right, so Not my drink water. I actually have my drink water. I need my paint water. All right, so I'm going to start with the outside of this. So I started making these bills uh, years ago now. I guess like 2009. And, oh, that's my paint over here too. And I really should take the hangers off. That looks very unprofessional. So we're going to start with the outside and kind of work our way around. All right, let's go. Let's start with this. So I really kind of started making these I really tried to make these look like realistic at first, and so it's a little bit it's changed over time. But let's see. The real US dollar is very intricate, although it's very, very dated in a way. I'm also recording this as we're doing it because part of me really, really, really wants to edit these down at some point, but we will see. I always think I'm going to do that, and I never get to it. One issue with this easel is that actually it's really more of the tripod, but this easel isn't totally designed for pieces this small. So it's really designed. I really bought this to do larger works. A few years ago, I started working with this group called Windows of Understanding. They started out in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and when they started expanding it, they started doing it in Highland Park, and then eventually they got to Metuchen, and eventually they asked me to do it. I think the second or third year they were doing it in Metuchen. And I've done it twice. Once with the First Presbyterian Church food pantry. I made this thing called Langar of Love. My friend Sarah Teddy, amazing musician, is the director. I'm not really sure what her title is, but she runs it basically for the church. And so I got to work with her, and I was kind of struck by how it was kind of built with a lot of humanity in mind. The people who came to get food were not considered, what do you call it? They weren't called clients, like you might call, which is a perfectly appropriate word to call people who are using any kind of service, but they referred to them as shoppers. It was Sarah's goal to try and make it feel as much like people were actually going shopping, and there were like rules about like certain tables you could take as much as you want, certain tables you were limited. They had all kinds of items. Obviously, a food pantry was never just about food, but I thought it was really interesting. And one thing that really struck me is they even used these shopping carts, just regular run-of-the-mill shopping carts, and people took those around. So I worked my painting kind of based it around a shopping cart, and I based it off some of the products that were actually in the color. Basically, I made a big old heart, human heart, and I used the products from inside the food pantry, and I used them kind of like the colors. One of my more intricate pieces, I would say. I spent a long time working on that one. And I really enjoyed that piece a lot. It's actually still at the First Presbyterian Church, so whenever we have a Cub Scout meeting, I'll sometimes go over there and check it out. I took a picture of it recently. It's nice to spend time with some of your old work. And then later on, I worked with the Metuchen Environmental Commission. There's a committee in the Metuchen Borough Hall that deals with trying to teach people about the environment and how to improve the environment for the people and animals in the area. I have 2 congruent viewers. Hello, congruent viewers. So I focus my painting on the Greenway. She made 4 paintings with different animals that are native to New Jersey. It kind of got me interested in the idea of like native species. Now, I just like with immigration, there's a lot of important roles that a lot of these, what we call quote unquote invasive species, fill. Because of the changing environment, a lot of the native species are no longer, not only do they get pushed out by invasive species, but sometimes due to the changes in the environment, the invasive species are better suited for certain environments. One of the examples they gave me, which I thought was pretty interesting, is that a lot of invasive species are really important to the waterways in central Jersey because of the changing climate and construction and overpopulation of certain animals. Some of the invasive species retain soil better, like hold the soil in place better, which is actually beneficial for those native species. So a lot of times, the invasive species actually can play a role in bringing back the native species, which is kind of interesting. So you don't want to just eradicate everything that is non-native to your local area, because sometimes those species are filling a role that has basically been shut down. So last time yesterday I painted this empty suit. I'm going to do that again, actually, but I'm going to do a white one. And because I found it later on, it was such a pain to try and fill in between, and actually afterward, I ended up just after the painting. Like, this actually did not look anything like this when I was done with it yesterday during the live stream. I actually spent like 20 minutes patching it up once everything was dried again. So I'm going to do something a little bit similar. I'm actually working on a top secret project with somebody. I think maybe I'll send him one of these to work with. Get his let him try something with it. So I'm using this kind of larger brush because I'm just trying to fill in the space, honestly. So right now I'm just doing the basic shape of the suit. Normally I draw the suit from the neck down. So the empty suit is kind of this character I thought up of. I mean, I have a feeling I stole this from somebody else, but the idea of like the salaryman's not necessarily the right thing in Japan, but the idea of like the faceless bureaucrat. Think of like the corporate stooge, the empty suit. Basically, they're in every aspect of capitalist society. They're just certain people that you come across, and you're just like, what do you do? Why are you here? Who else could actually do this job that you are just occupying? And I like to call these people empty suits. These are people who are basically, you can hear the hollow, like practically hollow Luan. I've been using this plywood for years, but decades even actually. But I don't normally cut it this small, so when you paint on, you can really hear that kind of ASMR. Maybe I should change the title of this video to painting ASMR. Yeah, there's like these empty suits in every aspect of the arts and sciences and um, the corporate world, especially, right? Like, I don't want to just, I don't want to disparage bean counters, right? Because people who actually hold people accountable, although it can often be annoying because they're holding you accountable, and that's annoying, but it's important. You need accountants to make sure you did not overspend, that you didn't break any rules. You need the, what do you call it? The people actually minding your P's and Q's sometimes. But the empty suit is someone that's basically like, I don't know how you got this job, how you either failed up, failed down, who you're related to, but you're just really here to occupy a chair. It's the opposite of what you see on like The Sopranos, the no-show jobs where people get paid for doing nothing. These guys are actually doing nothing and getting paid, but they show up every day and just occupy space. So, I do this circle nicely. I ended up wrapping the circle pretty close to this yesterday. Yeah, I did all this like outline work with the really fine miniature brush, and then I was like, oh, how am I going to paint inside these lines? And I ended up just deciding to paint over it and then redo it again. Just so much easier than what I was doing. You know, graffiti artists often what they do is they go in, they'll scrawl stuff in like white, and then they fill it all in, and then go over the lines with something more colorful or darker or whatever the color they're really going for. And sometimes they'll have even like younger dudes in the crew. Their job will be to like do the fill-ins as a you know, almost like on the job training, even though it's technically crime. But you know you know how it be. You know how it is. So I was actually looking at ones I did the other day. I think I left them in my bag, but I'm not going to get up and get them right now. I'm not going to abandon you a third time to go get something that I should have gotten already. But yeah, so I don't know. I started making these on paper years ago. I would use like basically found paper. I would just trace out a dollar and then kind of draw it. And I really enjoyed doing these a lot. So it started out with $1 bills just because I liked the portrait of Washington on them. Back at that point, I was very kind of enamored with the idea of George Washington at first, and then I kind of slowly moved away from that. You know, our relationship with these men is fraught and distant. Oh, the watch is covered up. I can't just flip my wrist. Right. Siri wants to make sure I'm being mindful. I'm painting, Siri. Of course I'm being mindful. Why don't you mind your own business, Siri? All right. So then I started changing these up, making $10 bills, and there's a bunch of time lapses of me doing these $10 bills. On my YouTube channel from years ago. And that's kind of how I realized I've been doing this for this long. I'm in this show called Etudes in I'm not even probably pronouncing it correctly, in Jersey City at Smush Gallery with a bunch of other artists. There's 6 of us, and it's all basically artists who create studies of work as a way of trying to create a body of work or practice or research a certain topic. And so we all kind of had a slightly different approach. I might have made that jacket
Um, and it was interesting hearing everyone's like research and how they were inspired to do the individual artworks. No, doing that one. That's the one I'm doing. I'm committing to this line. And all the work was very, very different, but it was just interesting hearing how people researched and how the work slowly evolved over time, which I found fascinating. I do a lot of visual research. I'll come up with an idea and I'll Google things and read articles, look up books, save pictures, do sketches of pictures that I find, and find other artworks that remind me of these images. Um, all with the idea that I'm going to eventually. Oh, can you hear my neighbor walking around? I don't know. So funny. I never heard my upstairs neighbor walking around until my oldest child mentioned it, and now I can't hear it. Like I literally never noticed that he walked around ever. And then my oldest broke the spell. Is he loud? No, not particularly. Do I care? Not the least, but it's fine. Now I can't not hear it. As a teacher, I'm often having to like tune out one set of noise to focus on another. There's always something going on. The heater's going on, the pencil sharpener's going on, like you really want to hear what people are talking about. Yeah, look out for these kids. All right. So, I kind of like how that's looking. Almost looks like a ghost suit. So I tried writing empty suit up here yesterday. It didn't work out. So I'm definitely going to put it here. So eventually, I started making hundreds, and then I went back down to 50s, and then I kind of got creative with it. And as part of my show at Smush Gallery, I made a booklet using basically figuring out where all the dollars that were in the show, when they were from, the inspiration for them, and then I decided, hey, I should do a whole book of these because this way I could just use it as my own personal reference. Like it'll, I mean, function as well as like a guide for eventually when someone's like, hey, why did you do this? And I'll be like, I don't remember. Um, but then I'll have an actual document. Also, as I get older, like it's getting harder to remember all this stuff. So I'll just put empty in the suit. But every industry has an empty suit. It could be the teachers that always phone it in. It could be the person, it's not even just someone who doesn't really want to work, but it's like the person who's like taking up space and making it worse. I'm very sympathetic to people who are like, oh, I'm about to retire. Like, I don't care. Like, that's just a working person trying to survive. But there's lots of people who just like their job is to justify their existence. You know, like middle manager kind of deals. That drives me up the wall. Like you are literally here. Your job really should be to allow me to do my work. there was a book in the 50s called The Man in the Gray Flannel Suit. Yeah, this one is not supposed to be gray. This one's supposed to be white, but I definitely should do a gray one now. Now I'm gonna have to do one. I'll have to do like patterns and stuff. And it's kind of like think of like American Psycho, where like it's not even about the job; it's about the corporate culture, which is like barely a culture. The idea that like the artifice is almost more important than the actual industry these people are in. Like that's the whole idea is that Jason Bateman? No, not Jason Bateman. Whatever the character is like so removed from reality that like the murders are just like how he tries to kind of live, to actually be a person, the most inhumane thing he can do. Although there are some people who say that like that actually in the book it's not clear he's actually really doing any of these things. He might just be thinking about them. I don't know. I mean, I've never read that book. I don't even think I've ever seen American Psycho, that movie, but I have read Fight Club a number of times. I've watched the movie a dozen times, and the message of that is basically like a lot of our world is just made up and pretend, and the Jack, the main character, they never really named, but I'm just gonna call him Jack because that's what they say. Jack's body parts that they list in the thing in that they find in the flop house. Sometimes I've seen him referred to as Jack, but the protagonist is like basically is kind of drifting socially, and he finds the Fight Club as a way for him to connect with his primal rage and his pure essence as a man, and it just how it all goes wrong. I actually, if you haven't, you've only seen the movie Fight Club. Fight Club, the movie's great. Edward Norton does a great job. Brad Pitt is hilarious. R.I.P. Meatloaf, you were great in that. You know what? It's one of the movies where I really, really appreciate Jared Leto too. That is a guy who really did well in that movie too. But the book is so much better. Has a better ending. The characters are more fleshed out, and it's even wilder. There's obviously it's a book. You can do more with a book than a movie, but wow. Mm. Make these a little bit taller. Kind of taken the real bills nowadays. They've changed the $100 bill a few times in recent history in an effort to fight counterfeiting, and it's kind of hilarious because a lot of other countries their their money is way more complicated than ours, and it's laughable how easy even today our money is to counterfeit compared to other things. I think that's might have been where my inspiration came from. Really, the idea of like if anyone can counterfeit it, what's the point? I mean, that's really the danger of counterfeiting, right? Like if North Korea is able to create some kind of super fake, then it could totally ruin the value of the actual $100 bill, and then ruin the value of essentially not only dislodge us from the top of the financial heap, but devalue our currency and our economy all at the same time. Which is why they've changed them slightly in recent years. But like, I think there's like Canadian money you can like see through parts of it, like it's plastic almost. And of course, like there's very specific kinds of linen used to make the $100 bill, but it's still fairly common. And I've seen a lot of interesting Vice documentaries actually, which is funny. I haven't thought about that in a while. Of like Central American counterfeiters, kind of like like basically taking ones and washing them and using that paper to make hundreds, and then essentially using those in commerce, and then getting real, washing it by going to a store, spending the fake bills to get real bills, and then you've washed your currency. It's simple but kind of brilliant. But it's essentially stealing, so whatever. But it's a fascinating look at this weird underbelly. I mean, a lot of it, it's kind of why the Secret Service was developed, because for a while the United States had multiple kinds of currency. I don't remember how many because it really depends on the year, how many states there were, and because these notes weren't really issued by a treasury, they were being issued by banks. Right? We talked about yesterday, like the ancient Chinese developed money because they were trying to connect the commerce of this huge land mass. So originally, Chinese coins had a little hole in the center so that you could basically wear them like on a necklace. And then I think to this day, although I haven't seen any Chinese coins in a long time, only paper bills, they still have a hole in them by the tradition. And the idea was that like that way you didn't have to carry all your money. Those coins would represent the value you had in a bank somewhere, and which I think is fascinating in a lot of ways. But we've been off the gold standard for a long time, which some people don't like, but I'm actually glad for that. For one, it gives us a level of flexibility that when you have your currency tied to anything, someone can manipulate that market and it can be disastrous. And I think there was a bunch of reasons why we kind of complicated reasons why we left the gold standard, and people are still kind of worried about that. But is plenty of gold still in the U.S. United States. I might be out of space. You know what? I'm just gonna go for it. Let's go for it. And now our currency is backed by the U.S. military. Um, it's funny when I started making these, people would leave comments on like Instagram, and I guess I was on Twitter at that time, but Twitter, back when Twitter still existed, whatever it is now, I don't remember. Um, back before Oprah. People would tell me, "Oh, the Secret Service is going to come after you." I mean, I've never even received a cease and desist for these pieces from the government because one, I'm not really making an alternative currency. There are lots of communities that have alternative currencies. I know like the Berkshires had like dollars and stuff that you could like trade for basically like local gift certificates that the whole area would honor. And there's a lot of legality and gambling involved. I mean, listen, we live in a world with crypto. No one's coming after me for this. I'm no Sam Bankman Fried. Um, However, there's no way you're going to mistake one of these things for a real dollar. I mean, now I'm making them on wood, and part of that is because I want the value to really feel like it's there. Um, I mean, for one thing, like if you're gonna really pay $100 for one of these babies, like it better feel solid. I mean, maybe one day if I'm more famous, the paper ones, which I think I can get a little bit more detailed on or whatever. Maybe some of the older ones will go for a lot more. But I also think that part of it is that like, you know, sorry to concentrate on this button. I think I'm going to stop selling them for the price that is listed on the bill, and maybe have some kind of contract. I don't even know if it would be legally binding. I would hope it would be. That would just ask the purchaser to promise that they will never sell them for less than the cover price. So if you buy, let's say, I sell you this $100 bill for, say, $40. You promise me that you'll never sell it for anything less than the listed. Oh, there's my alarm. It's almost bedtime. That you'll promise to make sure to never, ever, 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 ever sell it for anything less than the actual cover price, which I think is a great idea. My one fear is that how much can you enforce it? Not that I wouldn't want to try and enforce it, but at the end of the day, like it would really require me to really vet the buyers of these pieces. I don't know. So I might have to figure that out. I don't know. At least if there's an issue and I send you a cease and desist, you can't be like, "Well, I didn't know." Like, no, literally, I got your signature on this, so you do know. It depends on the legality of like a verbal contract, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna go over this in white so it doesn't get lost. But I don't know. Like to me, I don't know the art world, right? You really don't want to equate your art as being anything more than the creative endeavor, but like money always plays into it. You can't get away from it. I don't know. There's a good argument that maybe you shouldn't get away from it. Um, because you don't want to devalue your labor or whatever. I don't know. There's probably much smarter people who've thought about this than me, but my thought is that money is part of the art world because artists have to eat, artist needs supplies, whether you're a painter or a dancer or it's my high school art teacher, Mr. Hugh Mahan, would say, an underwater basket weaver. Um, you need money to continue what you're doing. So my real pet peeve when art galleries don't put up the price of the work, because what they're really trying to do is they're trying to be able to vet you, and they know whether or not they should pay attention to you if you ask for how you ask for the price list. But I don't know, or maybe like my girlfriend was saying, maybe it's one of those things like, well, if you have to ask how much it is, you probably can't afford it. But yeah, you know what? Like, if I want to buy a painting, whether or not I financially ruin myself really isn't that my business, as long as the cash is green. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not advocating for putting yourself into debt for art, but I have plenty of art on this wall that I paid a lot of money for, and even that affordable art would be very expensive to replace. However, I digress. But yeah, like I don't know, like since money's a part of it, I thought, hey, why am I making paintings for money? I should just make money and see if I can exchange for that. I thought it was very silly. I thought it would be a funny joke. And like most funny jokes, it ended up absorbing a huge chunk of my life. Wow. I guess the joke is on me. But I don't know. Every once in a while, you got to take a break from these pigeons, you know? Although, if you go to davidlamorte.com, a lot of these pigeons are available there. Not all of them are still there, though, which is kind of funny. I've still got to work on a bunch of other projects. Oh, I thought I saw something. I have this painting I was working on, and I put away the reference and the painting, and now I can't find either. So I thought to myself, oh, I'll just start over. Can't even find the digital copy of the reference that I printed out. And it's ironically, it's after I cleaned my room. After I like reorganized my bedroom, all of a sudden I can't find stuff. So again, jokes on me. So I think I'm gonna wrap this up. I've been. Oh, have I been? I hope I've been recording this. Yeah, I have been. I've been recording this for 40 minutes. But I've been live for 33. But according to. Oh, that's the average viewer. All right, that's just a. That ain't it, Chief. Yeah, no, I've been doing this for like 40 minutes. So that's not terrible. But yeah, I think that's it for me. I'm going to be doing. I don't think I'm going to do this tomorrow, but I'm going to try and get back to doing this. I want to try and get back to doing this on at least a weekly basis. So this is kind of my run up. I am going to speed some of these up, put some music underneath them, maybe make these a little bit more. What do you call it? Palatable. All right. Thanks so much. Subscribe at youtube.com/David LaMorte. You can check on the Patreon, the what do you call it? The Strange Offering Sticker Club. $10 a month gets you a brand new pack of stickers every month at patreon.com/LaMorte. You can check me out at David LaMorte on Instagram. That's at DavidLamorte. And that is it for me. Thanks so much.